It's still 0-0. I got Charlene here. She's pretty anxious about this ball score. My 8th graders say, Charlene, we don't need to panic. So there you go, Charlene. I don't think anybody's panicked at home. Let's see who we've got at home tonight. What's that?
Has Emma been at school this week?
Emma's been at school. We've had a great crowd at school.
She could go back on Friday.
Yeah. Tammy Bleckler's home. Ruth Leach is watching tonight. Edna Fox is watching. Cindy Nikoloff. Beulah is at home. Ruth, Cindy, hello to everybody. Charlene, you're a person after my own heart. You know it. Charlene and I can just keep talking, and the rest of the world will have to wait for us, won't they? That's right. So, but we're good. We're ready to start. We're talking baseball, and that's okay. Man, I'm so glad everybody's here tonight. So glad to see everybody here, and we're so glad you are watching. And so hopefully everybody's having a good night. We've had some nice days, haven't we? It's the beauty of fall. I was telling people, don't forget to enjoy fall while it's happening. It's one of the nicest times of the year. We are in the book of Acts, and just a quick update. We're used to our friends Lanny and Debbie being here. As far as I've heard with everything, Debbie's surgery went great. My favorite story is, Lanny texted me today and said, we prayed for an angel, and we got an nurse named Angela. I said, well, that's close enough. And, so she's home. They're resting. I haven't seen that they may be on tonight, but they may be on later. So good reports from Bill. Still slow and sure, slowly but surely. And they're weaning him off the vent just a little bit each day. Voice not strong enough. It will be and can be and should be, but they're still working on it. Having that vent in for so long is quite an ordeal, and so hopefully they can get him off of that, get his vocal cords back in shape and speaking, and this has been happening since school started, so we're probably well past a month here. So still pray for his pneumonia. There's still some congestion there. A little staph infection set in. But they're battling it. They're getting him to sit up. I got a great picture of him yesterday, sitting up. He's smiling. He's ready to go home already. We all would be too. And so, but that's not on the corner anytime soon. Just I don't want to get into too much detail, but just continue to pray for Belinda, just for her spirits, and just for her encouragement. And it's one thing just trying to take care of Bill. It's another thing trying to deal with being off of work for that extended amount of time and trying to figure out where that all is. And so just some things there. And I told her we understand how that is. Denise and I were on the phone with different red tape stuff this week. It's just like, I think I looked at Denise and said, this kind of stuff used to be easier. You'd call, there'd be a person that would answer the phone. You wouldn't have to press or say 20 numbers and jump to 20 different people and get off of my lawn, right? We can wish for the good old days there. Well, I hope everybody's having a great night tonight, and hopefully everybody's feeling well at home. So we'll go ahead and get started. What kind of music lifts your spirits? Okay, well, all right. Yeah. Worship music.
Classical music.
Joy FM. Charlene says classical music. Country music. Okay. She's a little bit country. I'm a little bit rock and roll. You remember that song? Okay. Praise music. Joy FM. Bruce, you're our music guy. What kind of music lifts your spirits?
I like listening to choirs.
Choirs. All right. So if you have a music of choice, here's one. What kind of music reminds you of the good old days? 60s rock. Okay. Southern gospel. All right.
Yeah, Southern gospel.
Southern gospel, the good old days. 50s, the doo-wop kind of music. That's the good old days, sure.
In the early 70s rock.
Early
I was a
70s.
teenager.
So if we start doing the math now, we can see how old everybody. No, I'm teasing. So we got 70s over here. No, Charlene, what kind of music reminds you of the good old days?
Me?
Yeah,
I like classical.
still the classical music. So Tammy Bleckler says old country music. There you go. Yes.
Rodney always liked country.
I mean, that new country,
Uh-huh.
they call country.
Country. So there's a lot of agreements for you here. Look at everybody signing in. We got country, we got rock, we got old country, we've got oldies. Who's saying I'm a little bit country? Is that like the Osmonds? Donnie and Marie? Now you can start adding up how old I am, because I can remember that song. So we got a few country, few rock and roll. We got some good Sunday school answers with the worship. I'm teasing. Worship music. Denise loves Joy FM. She loves Joy FM.
That's the only radio
That's the only radio
station I got
station
in
you
my
listen
car.
to. Yeah. I like, personally, I'm going to lobby Joy FM for the 90s Christian Music Hour. I've got a whole big vision for it. Denise says they'll never listen to me. But you know, people can dream. So the Christian oldies from the stuff I grew up with. But anyway, we're going to talk tonight. Music will obviously be a big part of our story tonight. But we're gonna skip ahead just a little bit. We're on our new. Hey, Debbie's with us now. Hi, Debbie. We're so glad everything went well. And we're gonna start with Paul and Silas. And I think this is a story we've had somewhere before, maybe even on a Wednesday night, but we've kind of come up to it in Acts again. So it's a repeat. Last week we talked about the great split of Barnabas and John Mark and Paul and Silas. So we're on the adventures of Paul and Silas now. We will see Barnabas and everybody again. Okay, so it says, once we were going to the place of prayer, we were met by a slave girl who had a spirit by which she predicted the future. 16 verse 16 in Acts. I'm sorry. I don't think I said, did I?
No.
Sorry. It's Acts 16 verse 16. I'll wait for those at home. Acts 16 verse 16. All right. While you guys are turning there, Tammy says keep Alana and the little dude in prayer. School has started. Little dude's first day was Monday. He's doing good. Debbie says, Sterling friends, I'm watching from home, swinging on the back porch. Amen. So, Debbie, I told them the Angel Angela story earlier. So we're glad you guys are with us. And Tammy, of course, we're going to keep praying for those precious kids. Okay, so Paul and Silas met by a slave girl. She had a spirit by which she predicted the future. She earned a great deal of money for her owners by fortune telling. The girl followed Paul and the rest of us. Let's stop there. Who is us? Who is speaking from the first person? We'll do a little Bible teaching here. Who is writing the book of Acts? Paul is not the author of the book of Acts. He's a main character of the book. Luke, our historian, our doctor. So obviously what we're seeing here is just what you want from a history perspective. A first-hand, primary source point of view. Luke is there with them in the midst of all this. Okay? And that's going to come in handy here in just a minute. Luke, by the way, Jew or Gentile?
Luke is Jew.
I believe it's door number 2, but I'll double check that. So, I think he and Timothy both aren't of Jewish origin, and that'll come into play here in a moment. Hearing bells. Okay, the men are servants from the high God who are telling you the way to be saved. So this girl is following Luke, Paul, Silas, saying these men are from the real God. They are telling you the way to be saved. And finally, Paul became troubled. He turned around and said to the Spirit. Now, first of all, let's stop there. Why would Paul be troubled about this fortune teller who you would think at a glance is giving them a good endorsement? I mean, nothing that she's saying is false, right? They are servants of the Most High God. I think it's Terenda on there today saying, yes, Luke was not Jewish. I thought so, but I don't trust myself these days. So,
It says that he was a Gentile physician.
we have proof. Donna's Bible study Bible says Luke, Gentile physician. So the girl is shouting, these men are servants of God. They are telling you the way to be saved. And this is annoying Paul. My question is why? I mean, he's turning around and basically doing a rebuking and an exorcism. Get out of here, demons. Why is this? I mean, she's telling the truth. Well, I'm asking tough questions tonight. We thought what kind of music do you like is hard. Now we're only getting harder, right? Sharon says, let's go back to the music question. I got the country. No, okay. All right.
Fortune telling, we have known it to be historically satanic. And, you know, Satan and all of his angels know who Jesus
Right.
is and knew who
Yeah.
they were. So it wasn't that she was telling a lie, it's just where she was
Right.
getting her information.
You got it, Ellen. Her background. Yeah, the problem is not the content of the message. It's the source of the message. Where is she getting this information from? Well, it's not by any godly means. Now, you got to put you're in the Paul, Silas shoes. You know, they are trying to shout out the news of Jesus for the first time. They don't want that to be connected to this kind of fortune-telling kind of ring that's going on. They don't want it to be tied to that at all.
Because the people that were in the crowds, they wouldn't know.
Exactly. Yeah. Margie said, how are the crowds going to know the difference? Okay. They're not part of that. Neither is their message of Jesus. So he's, excuse me, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to come out of her. And at that moment, the spirit left her. Okay. Well, Beulah had something to add, and she said, if the people are listening to her, then they're probably not going to be listening to Paul. Beulah, you always have some good insights. I'm glad you're with us here online tonight. We're getting some good online insights tonight. I want to reinforce that because that helps us. All right. So, when the owners of the slave guild realized their hope of making money was gone, they seized Paul and Silas. Who's left out? And Timothy was with them also. Now, here's where we're going to get all that back down off the shelf and put it into play. What's going on here? What are Paul and Silas that we've already discussed now? Luke and Timothy are not.
They're Jews.
So what could be at play here? Maybe just a little bit. If we think about it.
You mean God working so that
What's motivating this crowd? They're arresting Paul and Silas, but they have no concern for Luke or Timothy.
it was still culturally minded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Well, for lack of a better word, a little racism maybe going on here.
Trying to be nice.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said lack of a better word. That's a loaded word these days. Yeah, it seems like they're deliberately targeting. So it tells you what kind of boat, literally and figuratively, right? Paul and Silas are in sharing the news. There's some, maybe prejudice is a better word.
Yes.
Maybe prejudice is a better word. It's taking me a minute tonight. Definitely some bias, definitely some prejudice. They seized Paul and Silas. They dragged them to the marketplace to face the authorities. Let's go back to this poor woman. How did her owners see her?
Moneymaker.
Yeah, moneymaker.
That's what she was.
Yeah.
No different than a cow or a pig or a horse or anything else. Just a piece of property that
Piece of
produces.
property. She's our money maker. It's not even seen as a person. Of course, Ephesians says, Paul himself says, our enemies, the principalities and the powers of the world. Do those principalities and powers today still love to use people?
Oh, yeah.
And
Probably more.
probably, Margie says, maybe even more so. So what responsibility do we have when we see that? It's a tough question, isn't it? we see someone being used by the world, deceived by the world, taken advantage of by the world, what's the Christian's job?
Aren't we supposed to stand up for the oppressed?
Yeah, we'll fight, right? Stand up for the oppressed. Paul is rebuking, speaking out against those forces. And, well, they don't like that. So, these men they brought them before the magistrates and said, okay, these men are Jews, and they're throwing our city into an uproar by advocating customs unlawful for us Romans to accept or practice. Okay? What do you think they mean by the charge against them?
You mean the fact that they were preaching God?
Yeah, do you think they're really throwing everybody into an uproar? Are they advocating customs that are unlawful for Romans to practice?
No, no.
Yeah, so we've been here before with Jesus, right? People so desperate to shut them up that they're lying. And what's the real truth?
That they're
What has really been upended here?
their money.
Yeah, their cash flow. Yeah. So money is keeping them from experiencing. They're rejecting the gospel because it costs them money. What financial concerns do you think keep people away from Jesus today? Are there any financial concerns that would keep people away?
I've heard people say all they want down there at that church is money. So
Okay.
that's some people's excuse, but that's no
Yeah.
excuse.
Sometimes I think that is a convenient excuse. You know, I don't want to go, but that sounds bad, so I'll just say they want money. Yeah.
And it's their conscience.
Yeah, conscience. Yeah, that's just my soapbox there, I guess. But how else does money keep people away from Jesus? In the Bible, how did money keep people away from Jesus? I can think of one person in particular. Yeah.
Well, money and power are very much intertwined with one another.
Yeah. Money and power are intertwined.
They don't want to give up their power or their money for that matter. And the more money you have, so it's been said, the more money you have, the more powerful you are, and the more you don't want to share it.
Yeah.
And the more if you have a lot of money, riches, then I think you feel you can do everything on your own. You don't really need God.
I was thinking about that too.
You're paying all your bills. Look at me, I got this big car, big home, big boat,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
I'm
What do
living
I
a
need
perfect
God for?
life on my own.
Right.
Sometimes if you have a lot of access to money, it's easy to forget that you really need God. I was thinking, Margie, you find your security in money. But like kids and I were talking this week, when you die and go to heaven, how much money do you have? You better hope your kids are smart, right? Because it's their money now, or somebody's money. It ain't yours anymore. Yeah, none of that. All sorts of things. Jesus always said, what about money? You can't love both God and money because
You'll love one, hate the other.
you'll end up loving one and hating the other. I was also thinking of the rich young man. You know, he was justifying himself because of his ability to make money. And Jesus said, would you give all of that away? No. No. So it may not be the dollar signs. It might be the status. It might be the security that could keep people away. Well, that's definitely this man. So the crowd joined in the attack against Paul and Silas, and the magistrates ordered them to be stripped and beaten. After they had been severely flogged, they were thrown into prison, and the jailer was commanded to guard them carefully. Upon receiving such orders, he put them in the inner cell and fastened their feet into the stocks. Why would the jailer be very invested in making sure they're pretty secure?
Well, if they escaped, he would be in trouble.
Yeah, if anything happened, he's the one responsible. Keep that in mind. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying, and here we go. Here's where it comes in. they were singing their hymns. Okay? To God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Okay, you're the guard. What's your reaction? What's your emotion with all of this? What's going on?
What do I do?
What do I do? Maybe everybody be quiet. If I were the guard, I'd be thinking, am I going to get in trouble for this? Are they having too much fun? Do I?
Why are they so happy?
Yeah, maybe there's something intriguing you. You know, who are these guys and why are they having such a good time? And yeah. Well, if that wasn't enough, suddenly there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. All at once, the prison doors flew open and everybody's chains came loose. Here's an interesting allusion to maybe how he reacted to everything. The jailer woke up. So how did he handle all the singing? Yeah, which is surprising because maybe he thought, hey, let him sing. I just got to get some sleep. What's he thinking now?
He's about to kill himself because he thought they all
Well, that is literally going to be true, Sharon. She says he's about to kill himself over what happens. He's probably beside himself. Okay? The prison doors are open and everybody's chains came loose. And when he saw the prison doors open, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself because he thought the prisoners had escaped. But Paul shouted, "Don't harm yourself. We are all here." My question is why?
Why were they all here?
Why, Paul? Get out of there.
Well, no, Paul wouldn't do that because he knew.
Paul wouldn't do that.
No, well, he knew the earthquake was caused by God and that, that was just so. They were praying and singing hymns to God and he was listening and answering their prayers. So,
Okay. What do you think they were singing? What were they praying? What were they singing?
I just don't know.
Songs of thanksgiving that,
Maybe
once again,
praise.
Paul is being thankful that, yeah, I can suffer for Jesus.
Yeah.
This is cool.
We're
They
suffering
think
for
that's
Jesus
what-
again. Let's pray. Maybe so. Were they singing, "We gotta get out of this place"? Charlie says, no. Was that an old 60s one, Bruce? I think. Yeah. There's one from Bruce. No. The God rescue us. God, we gotta get out of here. Obviously not. I mean, because once they can get out, they're not going anywhere. Again, why? How is that praise or thanks? Or, I mean, I wouldn't have thought any left of them had they just walked out, but they didn't. Why?
Is that not, or I am not ashamed to sing or preach
I'm
or
not
say
ashamed to
gospel
preach
of
the
Jesus
gospel.
Christ.
What are they there for?
That's what they're there for.
And they really weren't guilty of anything. They need to be escorted out.
They weren't guilty of anything. They could be escorted out. I just think the neat thing here, I'm trying to check and see if we have some answers online. They're there to witness.
Wouldn't you think that maybe angels had come as well and said, look, you're going to have an opportunity here, or God just revealed to you
Yeah.
in some way. You're going to have an opportunity because he's going to come and, here's one more person.
Yeah, look, this is what we're here for. To send the message.
And maybe not just the jailer or the guards, but the other prisoners that are there.
Yeah. And, what do they call that for a concert? The opening group to get the crowd ready. That's a pretty good opening group. We got an earthquake. We got a rumble. The jail doors fly open. Who wants to hear what we have to say, right? I mean, why would you run away from this? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we want. We want people to see the majesty of God. We want people to see the glory of God. So when you're going through hard times, remember the mission. What are we here for? We're to expect hard times. Deliverance isn't necessarily escaping from hard times. It's seeing where those hard times can give us opportunities to share with others. And I don't know, I always kind of look at this. I think Paul is smart enough. We were smart enough to know, right? If I'm smart enough to know it, Paul's smart enough to know it. This guy's in trouble if we leave. Why would we do that? I care about this guy. I want to see this guy. I'm not going anywhere. And hey, put down, don't hurt yourself. We're all here. You could preach about 1,000 sermons on that, couldn't you? Just to be able to tell the world, hey, don't harm yourself. We are here. Isn't that powerful? That preaches, doesn't it? And the jailer called for lights, rushed in, and fell trembling before Paul and Silas. And he brought them out and asked, sirs, what must I do to be saved? And because they were witnessing everything that he was. And this is how they handled it. The praise, the singing, everything. What was it, the Roman guard by Jesus and the cross? There's something different about this guy. And that was, too many things were happening. There's something different here. And that's the same thing the jailer is saying. How would you answer that question? What must I do to be saved?
What Paul says to the next person.
Okay.
Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ.
Believe in the Lord Jesus, and you will be saved, you and your household. They spoke the word of the Lord to him and all the others in his house. At that hour of the night, the jailer took them, washed their wounds, then immediately he and his family were baptized. The jailer brought them into his house. He set a meal before them. He was filled with joy because he had come to believe in God, he and his whole family. Okay? So in what ways does the jailer, and when it was daylight, the magistrates sent their officers to the jailer with the order, release those men. And the jailer told Paul, the magistrates have ordered that you and Silas can leave. Go in peace. Why? What evidences does the jailer show that he is a new believer?
He brought him into his home.
Brought him into his home. What else?
Cleaned him up. He
Cleaned him off.
presented these prisoners to his household.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Hi, honey, I'm home. Look, guess what I brought home for dinner.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Okay, yeah. That's the title of the movie, isn't it? Yeah. And they had to be a great. It would have been funny to see the reaction in the conversation, and everybody hearing the gospel there around the dinner table. And Paul said to the officers when they come to him, "They beat us publicly without a trial, even though we are Roman citizens, and they threw us into prison. And now they want to get rid of us quietly? No, let them come themselves and escort us out." All right, Paul, you're free. They're letting you go. Why are you making a big deal about this? Why is he insisting on his rights as a Roman citizen?
There was no trial, there was no anything, it was just done. I don't know that was with Roman law. I don't know.
Yeah, Roman citizens are entitled to a trial.
Yeah.
And they were beaten too, which,
What's the whole point of them escorting them out? What message does it send?
I think they just wanted them out of there because they didn't want people listening to them anymore.
Yeah.
It says they really weren't guilty.
Yeah. These people are innocent. You will escort me out. Let the people see that because this doesn't happen in Rome. We're just, let's just let them go. No, that's how it works. They are being escorted out. I mean, not everybody could live in Rome and had the luxury of being a citizen. It's credibility as they continue to share the gospel in different places. It's the view to be able to see, they made a mistake. Again, it's just God working. We're not common criminals here. Look, they're escorting us out. Once again, who wants to hear what I have to say now? And when he goes to places like Philippi and other places, I've been in this situation. Here's who I am. Here's the right I have to be here. The officers reported this to the magistrates, and when they heard that Paul and Silas were Roman citizens, they were alarmed. You didn't treat your own, the cross, no Roman citizen ever died on the cross. The cross was for other people to show, don't mess with Rome. So we're fellow Romans here. Listen to me. Credibility. So they came to appease them. They escorted them from prison. Then they requested them to leave the city. After Paul and Silas came out of the prison, they went to Lydia's house where they met with the brothers and encouraged them. And then they left. Okay? So that's kind of the thing. What can we learn from this story as churches?
We talked before about one of the reasons we don't like to share Christ is we're afraid people will get mad at us or make fun of us or they'll slam the door in our face. And I think if you think about what Paul went through, I don't think we need to be afraid at all.
No.
I think we just use it as an excuse.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for myself.
Well, nobody likes rejection, and sometimes there is suffering. But is it from everybody?
No.
And sometimes we feel like, oh man, only one. I think we've been here before, too. Only one person got saved, and 20 people walked out the door. Angels are rejoicing. That's what Scripture says. There's a big party in heaven. That's what we were called to do. That was Paul and Silas's experience a lot. They had a lot of rejection. They had a lot of torment. They had a lot of spiritual warfare. But there would still be one or a whole family except Christ. Wouldn't Paul say? And it was all worth it. For that meal, for that dinner table, for those baptisms. It was all worth it. Did it come for free? No, there is a cost. There's a cost to evangelism. It may not pay off in worldly sense, but it pays off in heavenly sense. Are we willing to pay it? I'm not going to suffer that much unless we see 20 baptisms. Or, okay, that's not what Paul and Silas said. It was all worth it for the one. So keep going, keep sharing, keep dusting your feet off. What else does it show?
Well, I like it that they went to the house of Lydia. They didn't go to one of the men's houses.
I was waiting for that.
That was, again, this is a patriarchal society, and women were nothing.
Yeah.
But they went to
Yeah.
her house, and then she comes into play again later.
Let's hear it for the ladies. Yeah, and that's true. They were the ones that stepped up, provided shelter, leadership, comfort. Yeah, if somebody ever says, "Oh, that Bible, it oppresses women," they haven't read the Bible. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's amazing how women step up and provide in amazing ways, New and Old Testament. Right?
Right.
New and Old Testament. What else does it say about suffering and things that we go through?
Well, I think when we go through hard times, if we could just concentrate on that particular story, God always has something better at the end of hard times.
Okay.
We suffer through and suffering is likely what we do here, but suffering when we're going through illnesses, financial
Yeah.
difficulties or whatever, and at the end of the tunnel, God is there and
Yeah.
something better usually is there.
God has something good for those who go through hard times, okay?
He shakes us up to provide a different perspective on things.
Gives us perspective.
Whatever suffering we're suffering, you put that on this side of the scale and the cross on the other, and there's no
Oh.
comparison.
Right.
Whatever suffering we go through, if you put the cross on the other one, it doesn't compare. And so Jesus knows. What do we learn from this example from Paul and Silas about knowing peace and joy even in hard times?
Put on a happy face.
There's still time to praise. There's still time. I was trying to explain that to the teenagers today, and I've said it here 1,000 times, because I need to keep saying it to myself. There's not so many things that we have control over in this world. What do we always have control over every single time?
Ourselves
How we react to what happens.
and our relationship with God.
Yeah. I can't control the weather. I can't control, if something medical happens to me. I can't control. But we can. How does that matter? Why does that matter?
Because it builds your faith and gives you strength, and
Yeah.
you focus on God instead of ourselves.
Yeah. I think even if we were outside of church, right? If I was in Harvard or a self-help group or a counseling group, then none of them were Christians, they would kind of see the value of that question. Your attitude and how you face things, they have a thing in psychology, not even related to the Bible, called the self-fulfilling prophecy. So in other words, if you tell yourself, oh, I'm never going to figure this out, this is awful, this is horrible, I'm done for, then guess what will probably happen?
You'll never figure it out.
You'll never figure it out. It'll be awful, it'll be painful, and it'll seem like you're done for. It's a totally unrelated to the Bible, but psychology said they call it the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's amazing how your attitude, even at a subliminal or subconscious level, I don't know what the right word is, can lead to your outcomes. And and we can go, duh, from a biblical point of view, right? If our attitude, that's Peter walking on water 101, right? We said this 1,000 times over. Peter's focus determined what?
Where he was in the water.
Whether he walked on water or whether he sank. Did he control the water?
No.
Did he control the storms? What could he control?
Only his dependence on God.
His perspective and how he looked at it. When he kept his eyes on Jesus, why? Everything seemed to go a lot better than when he went, ah! Right? Right? Yeah. And even when he messed up and sank, what happened?
Jesus rescued him anyway.
Jesus still saved him anyway. Right? So even when we mess up in our perspective, even when we don't see it just right, it's amazing how the grace of Jesus, that's what self-fulfilling prophecy doesn't tell you. Even when your attitude can get you into trouble, Jesus is still ready to pull us out every time. Every time. So that's just kind of something to look at there. Any other thoughts? Our internet is quiet now. So if you have any thoughts on the internet, come on. Any other thoughts from today?
Even today, you see more people being saved and the church growth and all that in countries where they're challenged more.
Yeah.
We almost have it.
Maybe we have it too easy, right? It says, yeah, you see churches thriving where there's persecution.
Communist countries.
Yeah, we always see it here. About 12 years later, Paul is going to write a letter to the Philippians from another prison. How do you think the events here could be the basis for Philippians 4:6? Don't worry about anything, but in everything, be thankful. Praise God. And the peace of God. How do you think these events would affect a thing like, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you? How do you think these events will help him to write those things sometime later? Does anybody remember what they were doing 12 years ago?
Any situation that you go through.
I do. Yeah.
Any situations you go through, you remember the strength that you got from God.
Yeah.
So I think that would be
It's a landmark. Yeah, I remember when God did this. I remember when I was in prison, just like this. I remember how God provided. I remember, how God rescued us. I remember how a jailer got saved, right? And Paul, I think every time you read something, what's he doing with the jailer? Writing, witnessing, sharing. Yeah. Always. Okay. Any other thoughts? I'll check online again. I don't think experience. You get experience from these things. You know what God has done for you in your past. Yeah. Our church should know that. Yeah. The more we witness, the more we should know by experience. Hey, God will come through for us. But if we never do it, we won't have those experiences. Yeah. Okay. Well, those online, let me do a couple quick announcements in a way that Facebook won't get mad at us. We have a fellowship opportunity this Saturday with our Hispanic friends at an event that hopefully all of you know about. So it really sends them a nice message when we can come out and share that opportunity with them. Lets us know we're here, we support them, and we've been inviting others in our community to share in that opportunity on Saturday. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, kind of scroll down Facebook and you'll see what's going on this Saturday. We hope you can join us. It's also going on Friday night as well. And if you don't know what I'm talking about here, I'll spell it out for you in a minute, but I don't want Facebook to turn us off. My staff friends, hopefully we're all feeling okay and ready to go by Sunday. We are going to have staff meeting at 12:30. I don't have food scheduled as of yet. If somebody wants to graciously provide that this time, that's fine with me. If we want to just meet as quick as we can so we can get moving, that's fine too. But we will have our staff meeting at 12:30 Sunday. Did I say Saturday? It's Sunday. They know that. Okay, Sunday will be staff meeting. And I think that's all I have to say about that for now. Something we all can look forward to in a couple weeks is our Youth and Children's Sunday, the children's service. And that's going to be a great time. It won't be this Sunday. It'll be the next Sunday at 10:15. A lot of youth and children will be doing different things, and that'll be a great time. So thank you, everybody. It's great to have you join us tonight, and we'll go ahead and log off. Children's Day.